And Chris, it's great talking to you and all of your folks that are listening to this broadcast. It's a real privilege for me, and it's always an honor. And even when I was giving speeches all around the world for FedEx as the president of FedEx, it always amazed me that I was doing it, quite frankly, because where I started from, you would never guess that I would end up where I ended up. I started off in high school, and my mother passed away when I was 10, and so it was a tough start in life. But good graces and fortune and a little bit of luck and a lot of hard work. I ended up going to college, and I was commuting, and I was loading planes, working for a company called Federal Express back in those days. It was 1976, if you can imagine. So a lot of years ago, a lot of years ago. And then I'd go off to college, and I remember my professor there saying, well, you're in the, because I was majoring in business and transportation and marketing. So I was so the professor, James Piercy, great guy, pulled me aside one day and said, you shouldn't stay. You need to be working for one of the railroads. You're working for Federal Express. I don't even know who that is, because it's only been a couple of years old. And I said, no, I think more of the airlines. So I was thinking United or American or something. Anyway, to make a long story short, I stayed there. I actually met our chairman, Fred Smith, on the tarmac while I was unloading planes early in the morning up in Ohio. He was raising money for his young fledgling startup company in 1976. And then I ended up moving into sales at FedEx. But first I started off as a courier. So I was loading planes, started as a courier, dispatching. Then I moved into sales, and then I moved into an operations supervisor job. Only after a couple of years, I guess, from 1976, probably 1979. And within a year from then, 1980, I ended up working for a great guy named Ken Newell. He was the director of Ohio, and he moved to California, and he brought me with him to Los Angeles. So I was young, inexperienced, running Los Angeles, really pretty young and inexperienced,
Like under
but
30 probably.
but great. It was just an amazing experience, and we loved it out there. We lived in Orange County in California. If you've been out there, you were out there. So we loved it, and one thing led to the next. And in 1983, they came to me and they said, hey, you've done a great job here running Los Angeles. We want you to become a managing director for FedEx, and we're going to move you to Washington, D.C. And I thought, wow, that'll be great. And so we were getting ready for that. And they called me at the last minute and said, nope, we've had trouble in Philadelphia. So we're sending you to the Pennsylvania district and Philadelphia and all of Pennsylvania to be the managing director. And it was the worst performing in every area: productivity, service, morale, and so forth. And again, to make a long story short, because I like people and working with people, I got involved in the stations, and a couple of hundred people in each one of the Philadelphia stations. And one thing led to the next, and we became the number one district in the Eastern region. And then we thought, well, that's not good enough for us. And we were all kind of the black sheep renegade district because we were the worst, and went to the best in the East. Wow. Then we got to be the best in the country. And so I got promoted to the first international region of the world. Back in those days, international was Canada. I know it doesn't seem very international these days, but so I got sent to open Canada for FedEx in 1987. And along with me, several of my senior managers in Philadelphia became managing directors because they did such a great job. So it was a whole teamwork. It was the team that actually excelled. So I went to Canada in 1987. We ended up FedEx sponsored the Olympics in Calgary, Alberta, Canada in 1988. So I got to know all the Canadian athletes, in Gaetan Boucher, who was their gold medal speed skater. And I was on all the Canadian TV networks and stations. And so then all the Canadian employees, and I was employee number one up there, got to know me and meet me in 1987 to 1992, I guess it was. And one thing led to the next, and I was asked to go run the European and African region And so we did. It was amazing in every way, shape, or form. And just for your audience, I kept telling them, I think it's a mistake to move me to Europe.
Yeah.
Because when I got there, even the British told me I didn't speak good English. And so I didn't speak any languages at all. And I had all these countries, the Dutch and the Flemish in Belgium, and we were based in Brussels, and I had the Italians and the French and the Germans, and I mean, the English, of course, who I still kid about to this day, and then all of Africa, which was awesome. And then we opened up Eastern Europe as well, Russia and the rest of Eastern Europe back in those days. And then it started really rolling and doing great because we had put a great team together in there. And I was told that we were going to encompass in our region the Middle East then. So it was Dubai was our hub in the Middle East, and Abu Dhabi and Dubai and United Arab Emirates, and we'd go out to Riyadh and Saudi Arabia and all the Middle East. And the Middle East back then also, and now still to this day, included the Indian subcontinent. So it was all of India. Okay. So we'd go to Delhi and to open India. In Delhi is the headquarters and the capital of India, the business capital. They said, "Oh, you want to be a citizen of India?" And I said, "Yes, well, of course we do." They said, "Well, most people say that, they don't really mean it. So if you mean it, you need to come back with all of your American companies' support for pharmaceuticals and medicine and incubators and blankets, and go to Calcutta, where Mother Teresa was back then, and the poorest city in the world by far." And so we did. I went there. She met me on the tarmac. It was an amazing experience. And every year for the next 18 and 19 years, we'd go to Calcutta, paint the orphanages, and Sister Shanti now has taken over for Mother Teresa. But that experience was life-changing for sure. It was an amazing experience. And then when Mother Teresa passed away, I was asked to become one of the witnesses. They canonized her in the Catholic Church in St. Peter's in Rome. There was 100 of us, and there was 1 million people in Vatican Square. So it's been an amazing experience and career for me. I mean, like I said, I started out knowing nobody, had no references, had no experience, didn't have any contacts. Started at the bottom of the bottom of the bottom. I was sweeping warehouses and unloading planes at FedEx, and in the early days. And so then after a really great employees, and at the end of the day, the reason FedEx is great is only about one thing: it's employees, the people. The people at FedEx is what makes it great. It's not me, it's not Fred Smith, it's the people, and it still is. So we were asked to come back to the United States to be chief operating officer of the entire company then, and then it became FedEx, not Federal Express anymore, just FedEx, because it became a noun. Everybody called, ship this FedEx, like use Kleenex, and that's toilet paper, tissue paper, but it's the noun. And so even when people would say, "Hey, FedEx this," sometimes they actually meant send it priority mail with the post office, but we would get it because they just became a noun. And so anyways, we went back in 1999, and it was again amazing. So I then was responsible for all the United States, everywhere in the world, including Asia. Spent a lot of time in China. We bought our joint venture partner Datian in China. Madam Wu was the vice chairman of the economy, and she flew to Memphis with all of her delegation from China, and she we took her into our hub, and we have a huge hub in Memphis and huge hubs all over the world. And our hub in Asia at the time was in the Philippines, in Subic Bay, the old military base. And she flew in, and she was in shock and awe, and said, "I want this in China. So we will make an offer, a proposal for FedEx to move your hub in Asia to China," which we actually did. We accepted. And so we're in Guangzhou, China for our international hub. And we're in Hangzhou, China for our domestic hub after we bought our joint venture partner.
What year about was that?
Probably in the year, probably 2005, something like that. 2005. It was after we supported China's entry into the World Trade Organization. FedEx was one of the supporters of it, and we had done a lot of business there. Of course, all the, Apple computer, Microsoft, and all of them are in China. They used to all be in the West Coast of the United States. Now Foxconn, they're all in China. And so we had big operations in China. And, we have a lot of 777s that fly out of all these major cities in China. But we actually then, with Madame Wu's support, and Hu Jintao was the president back then, President Hu Jintao, we actually put our hub in Guangzhou. And it's been fantastic because all of the businesses are there. And of course, it's always a little bit different, but it's different everywhere in the world. And I actually kind of love all the cultures and all the differences and all the people. And I'm respectful of all the different cultures. I actually love it.
You must be, because I mean, for like people like Mother Teresa to meet you.
Yeah, I mean, it's amazing. Of course, she prayed for me a lot. She knew I needed a lot of prayers. But and so does Sister Shanti still to this day. But China's been amazing, and that whole thing is incredible. And so that goes. So we opened that, and like I said, we changed our name to FedEx because people were calling it that anyway.
Mhm.
So we got rid of the Federal Express and went to FedEx, and then so it's been an amazing ride, and that's just a little bit of the back. So I was back in the U.S.
Mhm.
COO, and also the president of FedEx Express, which is one part of Federal Express.
Okay.
And there's FedEx Express, the original company, the purple and orange one. FedEx Ground is a different. We bought RPS. FedEx Office, which was the old Kinko's,
Yep.
which was always by the college campuses.
Mhm.
And there, it's been a fabulous addition to FedEx portfolio, FedEx Office, because of all the campuses, and we've added a lot of stores. And so FedEx Office now is very convenient to everyone. Of course, we put drop boxes, 30 or 50,000 drop boxes in the United States alone with FedEx offices. And so we had FedEx Office. And then of course, we ended up buying American Freightways, and we have FedEx Freight also. So you'd see the big trucks.
Yep.
It says FedEx Freight on there. So we have FedEx Freight. And then of course, FedEx International. So if you go into the UK, it'll say FedEx UK, FedEx France in Paris, and so forth. So it's grown a lot to where now FedEx this past year, I think when I was there early on, we celebrated profusely when we hit $1 billion. I mean, we were like, wow, we were one of the early companies that started up like we did and hit $1 billion. I think it took us 10 years or something, but now I think this past year FedEx, and I just retired just a year and a half ago now, after 44 fantastic years there. Now FedEx is $79 billion.
Oh my goodness.
And when I started, it was a couple of thousand employees. Now there's 550,000 employees, and they're all over the world, and they're all, I'm proud of them all, and it's been the best experience ever. I can't imagine anybody having a more somebody said, I'm living the American dream. It's unbelievable. From literally, the small town in Ohio with no contacts, no experience, no foreign languages. I didn't go to Harvard. I didn't go to Yale. I didn't go to Stanford, Kent State University. But there's a lot of Kent Staters that are at FedEx, and they're all doing great, senior vice presidents. So it's been amazing. And so then I became president of FedEx Express. And then just a couple of years ago, maybe 5 years ago, and that maybe by now, the president of the entire company. And Fred Smith's still the chairman, one of the best executives in the world. He founded the company, incredible leader, visionary. I mean, I can talk about, that alone for the, a whole other hour of the broadcast, which I will not do. But again, it's not really about any individual.
Yeah.
It's about the people at FedEx, and to succeed in FedEx. And I would say to all of your people that are listening, the key to the business world is figuring out how to be a part of a team and a leader in the team
Yeah.
for the people
Mhm.
and people driven company. Now, that's easy to say. Everybody says it.
Yeah.
And very, very, very few companies actually do it.
Mhm.
FedEx is actually one of the ones that does it.
Yeah.
We're a people oriented company, and people say, yeah, we are too. And immediately they're not.
Mhm.
And I've met companies all over the world, and there's a handful of companies that truly believe in their people and let them have the authority to make decisions on the fly, do things, like, gosh, we had so many examples of it, but power lines were down in Utah and out there in Park City or somewhere. And a courier would get involved, one of our drivers, to help fix the power line and then we would find out about it. And then, so we have a mechanism inside our company called Bravo Zulu. It's a military thank you. It's a letter and a check that
Oh,
you can instantly give to any employee that you find doing something great or a little bit better than average.
yeah,
You can send them a letter and you can send them a check,
that's awesome.
and it still happens. It's been happening that way for 40 years. So I know I've talked kind of right straight through this broadcast without you asking me any questions, but that's the background
No, I know.
to how this all began, and here we are.
Because yeah, I mean, it's like, it seems like you just, people really recognized that you were somebody that could probably, genuinely help them, and they trusted you. These
Yeah,
people all over the world, from, I mean,
yeah.
you got Mother Teresa, frankly.
Well, it was funny because when I went to Europe first, and we were struggling a little bit before I got there, and so I got there, and I would go to all these countries with a translator from each one of the countries and speaking their language. I'd talk, and then the translator, and then I'd talk, and then the translator, and then they would talk to me and the translator, and then after the first visit to every one of the countries, the next time I came in, they said, "Hey, we appreciate the fact that you respected our culture. We all speak English. And since you brought your translator, they don't need to talk. You talk, we understand it, and we'll talk to you, and you'll understand us." And it was it wasn't always easy to begin with. It's sort of we're suspicious about, here comes an American to France, and
Yeah.
but I put our hub into Charles de Gaulle in France.
Mhm.
We closed our hub in Belgium because it was in Brussels. It was a nighttime curfew issue in Europe, so we were given a couple of choices, only really two: Schiphol in the Netherlands and Charles de Gaulle in Paris. And we chose Charles de Gaulle in Paris, and it's been fabulous ever since. Nonstop fabulous. We love Paris.
Mhm.
We love France. I became associates with and friends, I would say, with President Emmanuel Macron, who's the president of France now. He was the finance minister at the time when we were extending our lease there. And so we got to know each other when he was the finance minister. And I remember he was 39 years old, and he would say, Dave, I think I'm going to retire from this position now that we've solved your lease problem. I'm going to run for the president of France. And I thought he was 39 years old.
Yeah.
And I said, well, great. And he's now the president of France, and he's doing great. And he's just, we're friends.
Wow.
But again, because you can relate to people and talk to people. And one other thing that's interesting to me, really the great leaders that I've come across in my life
Mhm.
are the most humble, down to earth, kind, respectful, brilliant
Yeah.
also, and hardworking for sure.
Yeah.
They're humble and they're kind, and they actually want to help. It's the ones that haven't made it that you got to watch out for. They're the ones that trying to backstab you along the way some way. But anyway, so inside FedEx, and I was going to end with this and until you ask me another question, but you can't be successful at FedEx in management if you're not good with people.
Right.
You can't do it. It won't last, because we have a program in our company called Survey Feedback Action. So we do a survey every year. The employees, including me, or Fred, or anybody, they do a survey on their management and management in general and the local management and about the company and about their resources and supplies and customers, whatever, every year. And then we follow up on it and we follow through on it. And sometimes the managers don't make it, and sometimes they shouldn't, quite
Yeah.
frankly. And that's our role, to make sure that we have the best managers doing the best job leading people. And if they're not, and if they're in any way, shape, or form abusive or whatever, they won't make it. So,
And it seems like you kind of had like a career. It was kind of like seamless. Like you never crossed any of those boundaries, and you just kept a really good reputation. So, like, what would you say it is that motivated you so much to just treat these people well and really
yeah.
just to what was your motivator? Was it money? I know
Oh,
you love people, but what was
no.
it that really?
Well, I actually never really, when I think about it, it really did never apply for a job. And I never asked how much money it was going to be,
Yeah.
never, because it
Huh.
didn't matter to me. And all that mattered was what new responsibility, what new challenge, what new excitement.
Hmm.
It was always exciting to me. I don't know, maybe because I grew up in such a small town and
Yeah.
really never traveled anywhere, just stayed in the small town in Ohio. And now I was getting a chance to go everywhere and meet everybody. And it was always awesome to me. It was always awe-inspiring. I thought,
Sure.
wow, I'm in Canada now, and I'm in
Yeah.
the Olympics I'm in Europe now. I'm, Lake Como or wherever. It's just been, um, I don't know. I never have taken it for granted. It's an amazing experience, and I think it was just a luck of the draw. I don't think there's very many FedExes that start up and you end up hooking onto it at the very beginning of your career. It
Right.
still happens,
Hmm.
um, but there's not many companies that change the dynamic of an industry. In fact, FedEx created its own industry.
Yeah.
When we started, it was Emory Air Freight was the big company, and they were mostly a freight, 2, 3, 4 day service. Really wasn't any overnight service, and it was the old commercials. America, you have a new airline, and it's overnight, and it was FedEx and Federal Express back then. So it was. But I tell people this all along, all the time, and I'll tell you this, Chris. There's there's not many times in your life that you're going to find that you get these amazing opportunities
Yeah.
and amazing challenges, and it's sometimes risky, and you're out of your comfort zone, and it's so. I would tell you that I took all of those risks. I
Hmm.
took the brass ring every time it came around, because they don't come around that much. And so if it comes around and you're reluctant to try something new, you're reluctant to go somewhere new. I didn't know any languages. The British told me I don't speak English, but I went anyway.
Yeah.
If you miss those opportunities in life, they don't happen all the time.
Yeah.
I remember, I forget, it was Peyton Manning or somebody in football saying, when you get a chance to play in the Super Bowl, don't think you're going to be there every year. They don't happen all the time. So relish the moment, have fun, experience it, experience life, take the challenge. I would always say to myself, well, if not me, then who? It'll
Yeah.
be somebody else. So it might as well be me,
Absolutely.
and so a lot of my family, they've all done the same thing. I've told the same thing to, my kids and friends and relatives, and it's the challenge that and the opportunity and the risk that people see, and they more times than not turn it down. They don't do it. It's out of their comfort zone, so they
You're,
don't do it. And then they will regret it the rest of their life. It's amazing. I can tell you, I've never regretted, taking these opportunities. I never regretted moving to Europe. Never regretted going to India. Never regretted going to Calcutta
you
or
never
to
said no, really.
no. And
Well,
now when I think about it, I think, really, was I really in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia? And the answer is yes. Do I really know Sheikh Mohammed Al Maktoum, who's now the ruler there? And yes,
yeah.
he was our partner. It's just we've taken these small little opportunities that turned out to be these big things. Um, so my final point to you, I guess, Chris, would be treat people great,
Yeah.
respectful, with try and give them opportunities, and in every way, shape, or form. Diversity, hugely important.
Yeah.
We always worked on that, and it was always a priority, and it's It's flourishing now.
Yep.
I'm proud to say, but also there's challenges that come along. People don't take them and they miss out on these valuable experiences in life. They don't always work, but if you don't try them, they never work because you don't try them.
That's it.
So if you don't try it, the chances of success are zero because you didn't try it.
Yeah.
So listen, I've enjoyed my time. Is there something else you want me to end with, or?
No, I mean, that was awesome. I mean, the way that it was almost like you kind of globalized. You might have been like one of the pioneers of globalized economy. Like,
Well,
you,
FedEx was, yeah, and I was lucky to be the FedEx representative,
yeah,
and I would go and I would speak at places around the world, and I'd say I'm just humble and proud to be here representing an amazing company with amazing employees. Otherwise, I would not be here by myself, and I would never be there. I'd never get offered but because of those opportunities, and I took them in an amazing company with great people. People would welcome me in because of who I represented, not be really because of me.
yeah,
And then we hopefully have a good relationship after that, and we become friends and so forth. But so those important things in business and in life
yeah,
are opportunities come once in a while,
yep,
and I would encourage people to take the risk,
yeah.
take the challenge, go ahead and do it. And if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. You can go do something else. But if you don't do it, there's a zero chance of your success because you haven't tried.
I love that.
So,
Thank you so much.
well, Chris, thanks. And it's always great talking to you, Christopher, and proud of all your work. You're doing a great job, Chris. So keep up the great work, and I'll talk to you soon. Okay.
The best. Love you.
Thank you. Okay.